on there, you'll see a few different options. BidPack's down in the bottom left-hand corner of that screen. Once you go through that hyperlink, within the BidPack, you'll find the DPS needs document. It's essentially the instructions of how to join Spark, as well as the customer needs document, which is the specification. So all the filters are listed within the specification, and all the schedules which the Home Office and other customers may be using for their procurements are contained within that BidPack, excuse me. So well worth having a little read through. Second stage is a DPS specific questionnaire. So you've got your standard selection questionnaire and then a DPS specific questionnaire. The DPS specific questionnaire dives into a little bit about what you can actually offer through Spark. So within there, you'll find the lists of filters. You'll also find the contract example and the customer needs document. So the contract example needs to be related to one of the technologies or services, the radical and disruptive technologies and services that you're wishing to put onto the agreement. And the customer confirmation of works document, which is the second stage to that, is essentially the customer where you deployed that technology. If you're having any issues with those two elements, specifically the confirmation of works document, because I know we have quite a lot of suppliers who jump on and go, we've had this through the department, for example, in the States, and they're refusing to sign, then we can look at alternative methods to cover off that element. But it would need to be a sort of a case-by-case basis for that. So there is an attachment within the BidPack, which is attachment 8, which is the confirmation of works letter. That would essentially need to be sent off to your customer and signed and sent back. As I say, any issues, please drop me a line. That's absolutely fine. So cyber DPS at crowncommercial.gov.uk. It's only cyber DPS because I also manage the cyber agreement as well. So any questions about that, too far away. In addition to those, you'll be required to provide a few different insurances. So your professional indemnity insurance, employer's liability insurance, and your public and products liability insurance. So the coverage is stated on the screen. So 1 million, 5 million, and 1 million. We do need cyber essentials as well, but not until the point of first contract. So if you've not got it already, don't worry too much. You can still go through the process and still be appointed to Spark. It will just be that if you are in the process of being awarded or you are awarded a contract, then we will require it at that point. And professional indemnity insurance is one that we've had quite a lot of questions around as well. So we've had a few suppliers, and I've seen a few on the call that I've spoken to as well, who sort of said, do we need it? We don't provide any services. We're a manufacturing company, for example. It's still required for the agreement. So it's mandatory for the agreement. And if you don't have it, then we can't progress your application, unfortunately. Generally, it's a conversation with your insurance company to add it onto your policy. There is sometimes a small cost to it, but as I say, it is a mandatory requirement for the agreement. And that very essentially is sort of to make sure that it's a fair playing field across all suppliers as well. So if we start turning around and going, all this supplier doesn't need it, all this supplier does, then it lets a whole cat out of the bag type situation. If we go on to the next one for me, Stuart. Thank you very much. Okay, so the filters, as I said, so that screen on the left-hand side is the landing page for Spark DPS. So you'll see the start dates and end dates on there. So on the right-hand side here, we have a little bit of the filter breakdown. So essentially the Spark agreement is broken off into 4 different filter levels. So it's broken off into your subject area, which is high level. So it could be corporate, it could be transport, it could be health, for example. And then it breaks it down into delivery method, which you can see on the screen at the moment. Within delivery method, we've got a lot of different technologies, a lot of different services. So the ones that you will need for this procurement are listed down that right-hand side. So applications, intelligent applications, access control, biometrics, facial recognition, and above official. So the security filter is the third filter, and then we've got a location filter as well. When you're filling out the location filter, if you're selecting UK, for example, I just really sort of encourage you to go through and tick the relevant locations within there. We have had a few cases where suppliers have been ruled out of various procurements because they've selected UK, but they're not selected various areas they can work within the UK. So just be sort of mindful when you're going through that process as well. Just to add on as well, because I know we have got a few suppliers on who have already joined the Spark agreement, which is brilliant. If you haven't got these current delivery methods selected on your account, don't worry, you can go back into your account. So if you click on sign in at the top of the supplier registration page, you'll see your questionnaire within there. Under your questionnaire, under your Spark questionnaire, there'll be the option to either respond or update DPSQ. When you select that button, it will take you through those DPSQ questions. So it will start with your contract example and it will work your way through contracts of confirmation of works documents. If you select save and continue, you'll get to the filters and you can amend your filters at that point. If you do that though, just be wary because you'll go back into assessing, which will mean you'll come to our DPS team within Crown Commercial Service. It's generally quite a quick process. So our DPS team have somebody working on the DPS for a period each day. It very much depends on how busy they are, but they're generally working on it every single day. So we are picking them up on a daily basis. If you're a new supplier to Spark, then once you've submitted your questionnaires, we have an internal SLA to process your application within 10 days. That is with the caveat of there are no issues there. So if there are any issues, for example, you don't meet the credit threshold for the agreement, so the credit threshold is set quite low for the agreement, as it should be for an innovation agreement, because we're full of loss of SMEs. And so it's set at 35 using a Dun & Bradstreet credit threshold. So as long as you meet that threshold and there are no further issues in the background, so you've not stated that you've, I don't know, been part of any illicit activities, for example, or that you've got any grounds of exclusion there, or that you've been unable to provide any of the insurances that are required, then we're looking to appoint within that 10-day period. Generally, it's quite a quick process. And as Stuart has said within his timelines, they're looking to go ahead sort of end of September. So I would just encourage you to, if you've not applied already, then start the application process. We have got a number of different things going through Spark as well. So it's not just the Home Office requirements. We've also got requirements from DfT. We've got requirements from MOJ going through. There are a few different departments that are sending things through. And there are obviously departments that use us and don't tell us because they sort of use it as a bit of self-serve type approach as well. So that is Spark in a nutshell. Obviously conscious that you may have questions as well linked to those applications. Drop me an email, that's absolutely fine. I will do my best to respond. So cyberdps@crowncommercial.co.uk, that's our joint mailbox, so it might be myself or it might be Rebecca that picks up your email. Either way, we will pick it up as soon as you email in. I think that is about it.
That's great, thanks, Tom. And yeah, to echo what you've said, if you're not on Spark already, it does take a little bit of time to join. So this is a little bit of a call to action for you to go away and have a think about it and to fill it in. I think as Tom mentioned, there is a lot of information that CCS asks from you to fill in and join Spark. If you've been involved in CCS contracts before, I think you'll be more familiar with it. If it's new to you, and I know there are some suppliers on who have only engaged with us through other engagement methodologies, some of that might be new to you, but the information they ask for is stuff you will have somewhere in the office. So just give yourself a few days to find it and work your way through those questions. And then you're official, you're on. And even if you're not successful with us, as Tom said, other departments use it. We use this for other things as well. So it may well yield a dividend beyond just what we're talking about here. I think that brings us to the end of the presentation. What I just said is highlighted with three little ticks on the side there. But so yes, please, if you're not already on, do onboard into Spark and load against the intended catalog filters. We'll share those slides with you that have the hyperlinks on them and everything, so that you have that those direct links that were referenced on there earlier. It does lead us to the inevitable. If anyone has any questions, please do let us know. We might be able to answer some of them now, or we could take some other ones away. So please feel free to use the chat bar or to come off mute and speak. Now is that opportunity. Is there anything in the chat?
Yes, the presentation will be shared. Yeah,
There's nothing in the chat now.
No.
Oh, Tim has his hand up.
Answer is yes.
Oh, okay. Yes. Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Hello, Stuart, Faye, colleagues. Very quick question. How many bidders are you looking to down select?
Well, we don't know who's going to put a bid in yet.
Yeah, but if 20 people come up with it, because there's a lot of quality bidders on here, including us, of course. If there's 20, you're going to take 20, or are you going to down select from the 20 to say 5?
So, yes, we would. The exact number, I don't think we've fully agreed on. It's a balance for us in terms of what the budget we have for the project is. We don't want to stretch it too far and essentially be offering everyone we engage with 45p. So we do want to be able to give a sizable funding given the level of work we'd be asking for. We are looking at a handful is the word I might use.
Yep.
Of suppliers. We're not wanting to bring it down to one because we want to go ahead on that, but equally just for practical reasons, I think going ahead with 20 is not really going to be feasible. So there will be an element of competition following the drawdown. If you have a suitable application, that's the opportunity to talk about it and to represent it. I can't be any more specific at the moment because there are a couple of questions internally we've not actually answered, but I hope that gives you a bit of an indication.
It makes sense. I think everyone understands what you're saying because you don't have a specific, but because you can't do everything, right? So thank you very much. Thank you.
Andy, next time.
Yeah, Andy, you're next.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Can you sort of two questions really? One expanding on what's in the chat as well. Have you got any more information on how the funding mechanism will work? Will that be split across 5? Very following on from Tim's question as well. An indication of amount might be quite useful, but also
an indication would be useful.
You know we're not going to tell you that.
I know, but no harm in asking, Faye. You can always tell me no, can't you? The other thing, sort of a little bit like Christopher asked in the chat there, you've obviously picked a solution for face and for biographic. How do you envisage the fingerprint being linked to that? Is that will reference a database? Is it will use biographic? Have you given any thought to how you're going to give the face and biographic data to check the fingerprints against to this solution?
So that is the binding point. You will need to read the statement of requirements very carefully when they come out, which will articulate the detail on how that will work and what we'll be looking to test. So at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, John, our from Identity and Policy, might.
Do you want to come in?
Do you want to come in on that point?
Yeah, Andy, welcome the
You're very
Sorry.
robotic, John, for me.
John, yeah, you don't sound good.
Are you in Croydon, John? If you are, we're in 504.
No, I'm into the left today, unfortunately.
Okay.
Can you hear me better now?
No.
No. Do you want to take your
Earpiece.
fancy earpiece off and just shout in the way that we all get in trouble for in the middle of the office? Marginally.
Right. I'll
Maybe
try
turn camera off. Turn your camera off and the bandwidth might get better for us.
because I can hear you very clearly. So I noticed that Christopher asked a question to you and Andy.
I can't hear you, John.
I'm sorry, John.
Drop
It's
off
not.
and join
Not
again.
working.
It's. Do you want to? You ping me a message or something. I can say what you want to say if you like.
Or drop off and join again.
Yeah, I think Andy, what you've hit on there fundamentally is what our question and challenge is. So we do have a solution in GIDV already, which captures an applicant's face using their smartphone. It runs various liveness and security checks, and we're able to bind that to the person's identity because their passport contains their face. Your passport does not contain your fingerprints. So when we capture them, we are capturing them for the first time into the ecosystem. The challenge around binding that we are presenting here is one where we would like to know, is there a way, are there some steps within your solutions? Are there some tweaks to your solutions or suggestions which would allow us to not only capture fingerprints from a mobile phone, which we know is possible using the camera, but whether there's a way to do that which can also link them to the individual. If that means you take a picture of their face at the same time, that's fine. What we're not looking to explicitly test is liveness and the quality of facial capture, because we are confident that we can do that. If involving the face in your solution in terms of the binding is something, then we'd be happy to hear about that. The point there is if you have a facial capture only solution, that is not something that we're looking at in this trial space. If you have a good facial capture solution, then sort of good for you. That is something that the Home Office buys, and there's contracts for that type of thing come up repeatedly, and different departments have requirements in there. But the specific answer around how you do binding is one that we have left open. John, are you in a room or something now? Do you want to try again, or?
Yeah, if you like, I was going to say you're doing a very good job of describing what our needs are. Essentially, you're going to, the majority of the people who apply to are likely to be first-time enrollers. Therefore, there will not be a reference. It's unlikely to be a reference to fingerprints that you can bind them against. In a way, if we did, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation, because we've already sort of tested about the capture of fingerprints and shown that to be feasible to a satisfactory standard. And if we were just matching to the fingerprints that we already hold, we wouldn't be really needing to go and do this exercise. What we want to go and do is imagine a fresh enrolment where, we're now in, say, 2030, persons in their application to come to the UK, we ask them to provide both their facial image and their fingerprints. And what we want them to go and do is they'll provide a facial image in the way we do at the moment. So that's no change in that area. New. We'll then want them to sort of, provide their fingerprints, and we'll want to be confident that the fingerprints belong to that person. So say my fingerprint and Stuart's face. So they've got to be Stuart's, my fingerprints and my face linked to my biographical information. And what we will then do, once we've captured that sort of information, we will then wash that information against our database to see if we already know that person. And if we do, that might affect a decision on their application. So that's essentially what we are trying to do. What we don't want to sort of tell you how to do it is how to do that sort of binding solution. Otherwise, again, we wouldn't be having this discussion. We need you to be quite creative in your thinking. The other thing I'm also going to point out is the original name of the trials was BSEF, which was the Biometric Self-Enrollment Feasibility Trials. You'll notice we've got rid of the word feasibility because we've got the feasibility of capturing fingerprints, but we got rid of the word self. And one of the reasons why we got rid of the word self is we thought that might be defeating. So we don't mind if your solution requires an assessment. So, for example, if it means somebody else is helping the person to upload their sort of information, like a family friend, for example, may be perfectly sort of acceptable. The only thing we would need to be sort of confident about is that the person to download
Sorry, John, you're breaking up again, but I think to highlight what you're saying, it's proctored is an option on the table. The self is God. Is that where we were going? Sorry, you're sounding a little garbled. It's the connection, I think.
Yes, it's probably my device here.
Yes. Have you had the email to get a new laptop yet?
Got the gist.
Have you had the email from IT to get a new laptop yet? They are rolling new ones out.
That's the way for mine.
I'll just have a look through some of the comments in the sides that may or may not have been addressed there. So Chris's question there about the verifying the identity. So as John mentioned, we are looking to enroll fingerprints potentially for the first time using this solution. The binding element is an electronic version of supervision or proctoring or something that gives us confidence that those fingerprints do belong to that person. There's a reason we don't let you submit your fingerprints by post using an ink pad and an envelope, because we'd have no way of knowing that those fingerprints belonged to you. The digital equivalent of that will apply to this. So however your solution captures the fingerprints, if there is no way of proving they belong to the person with any greater confidence than you just sending us them in the post, that problem hasn't gone away. We've just digitized the same problem. So that's very much the focus in terms of the binding piece. Ian, you've got a question in the side around other types of solution. So there is a solution in our ecosystem that allows for supervised and bound fingerprints, and that is at our visa application centers. So sometimes that's an appointment on a desk. It could be a supervised and proctored use of a kiosk. A kiosk fundamentally is a desk, but it's upright and looks like a pillar. But it will have on it a camera, a fingerprint capture device. There are cohorts for whom attending a visa application center is the way forward. At the moment, we envisage that continuing to be the same because of the level of security associated with it. We're not looking to replace that system, but this particular element is a remote alternative. So at the moment, we do have systems by which people can enroll for something on their phone. We want a fingerprint capture and binding system that works for that use case and for that user base. So that is why we've sort of decided it's mobile phone remote, and the leveraging of an actual device is the way that we want to go forward with it. There are other strands to this around other enrollment methodologies and what can or can't be automated the VACs, but the use case for having to attend an application center, which is certain types of visa customers to the Home Office, those individuals do and continue and will continue to need to attend visa application centers. We have a hand up. Adinda, do you want to come in?
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, hello, we can hear you.
Right. So my question was essentially the same as the one that Andy asked originally around the integration of the binding technology with, as you said, you already have a solution for face. So, I think for the trials, you're probably looking for some sort of demo app that can, may have its own face capture, and we'll try and bind that in some way with the fingerprints. But for the final solution, will you be looking just to purchase the technology and then have that integrated with your own facial recognition system and capture system?
So this is a sort of longer term question for us, but it's a very sensible question. As some of the comments in the side have picked up on, our current mobile remote enrollment solution, which is used for the ETAs, is GIDV, the generic identity verification system. That is the Home Office app. If you look for the Home Office app on the App Store, that's what will come up. That's our GIDV app. We anticipate utilizing that app, but with this capability. If that means that the providers of certain components to that app change, so be it. When the next roll around of the contract comes, assuming that this is a successful demonstration and a successful trial, we would be asking for that capability to exist within the app. And then whomever provides the app to us would need to provide that as a component element. If you're looking for your own, if you're looking at what a potential future opportunity might be, if you're a small organization, it may be that you want to position yourselves to subcontract under that rather than take on the entire app in and of itself, because there are other features and things that the app currently do. We don't want to test and assess those in this trial. If you have those capabilities and believe you could have the capability of providing the complete app, including this element around fingerprint capture and binding to the identity with the fingerprints, then that may be something that's of interest to you in the future. If you have those capabilities, that doesn't mean we don't want you to be involved here. However, we are not looking, and we won't be assessing the quality of faces or anything, but if the demonstration app that you put forward for this has that in, that's not a negative in any way. So the answer is yes, we would look to have it integrated into GIDV. The exact way in which that happens probably is dependent upon in future how we get and access GIDV, which is coming up moderately soon for renewal. So that's the long-term opportunity, and that's the Home Office version of it. I'm sure other departments and all the other industries also have interest in those types of technologies. Does that cover what you meant, or have I completely misinterpreted and spoken about something else?
No, that's perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you.
Okay. I think this speaks a little bit to Peter's comment in the side there. And John has picked up on the fingerprint binding in the sidebar there. People can see he doesn't sound like a robot when it's in writing. So I'll just pick up. There's a question from Cameron here. Are there any limits in terms of partner subcontractors? So we don't mind there being partners and subcontractors. What you will find is when enrolling in Crown Commercial Services and enrolling on Spark, they will ask you who those key subcontractors are that are key to delivering the services that you're joining the framework against. So in that respect, it is important to understand those. It's not necessary for you to be a small component provider. If you are part of a subcontracting or you're part of a consortium of some sort, as long as you exist as an entity within the Spark database, we'll be able to draw down and access you there. John, did you want to have another go at speaking?
Am I audible now?
So far, so good.
Right. Well, I found myself a meeting room. Whether I get kicked out or not, I've got no idea. You know, what I was going to say, if I can give you an idea of how we imagine what the journey will look like in the future, just to sort of give you an idea of what's in our minds, this should hopefully help you. The idea is, I'm not sure if I think it was Faye may have mentioned about remote enrolment. We have this sort of concept, as we've done with the ETA scheme, of enabling people to make their application and upload their biometric information in the comfort of their own environment, either their home or their office, and enabling them to sort of go to the airport, in the normal way, do it online, go to the airport, hand their bags in, whatever, get on the plane and arrive in the UK without having to be sort of say almost like a frictionless travel. So the reason why this piece of work is quite important is for us to be able to capture the fingerprints. It means that these people, on the whole, should not need to go to a visa application centre. They should not need to have a supervised enrolment. We want to have the confidence that the process is secure. That when we've got an applicant that's come through and they provide their fingerprints. When we wash those fingerprints against our databases, we're washing the fingerprints that belong to the person that we believe we're dealing with and not a third party. We don't want sort of situations which, for example, whereby we've had person A apply, but person B's fingerprints have been sort of given because person A knows he's a bit of a bad lad and doesn't want to be identified. So that's essentially what we're trying to do. So it's a potential opportunity to create a frictionless, customer-friendly sort of journey. But for us, it provides us with massive sort of assurances, and particularly on the security side about who we're dealing with. So that's what we're trying to be in terms of our long-term sort of vision.
Thanks, John. And yeah, you sounded fine.
Tony's asked an interesting.
Well, Nick, you came on. There's a couple of people have come on
Okay.
camera. Did you have any questions?
No questions for me. The one was around the kind of follow on, which has been, so once the solution has been identified and agreed, it's what those next steps would be. But you've explained that well, so thank you, especially around the GIDV app. Thanks.
Not a problem. And yeah, Tony has picked up in the side. Did we not run some fingerprint binding trials a couple of years ago? So this is part of our ongoing work to see where we're going and what's possible. If you read some of the press coverage of the fact this was going to be an event in some biometric, some of the industry press, they confuse things. Our previous trials, the BSEF that Faye mentioned earlier, that was around whether or not you can capture fingerprints using the phone. So that was specifically, are the fingerprints of good enough quality that we can then do things with? We've determined that is a yes. We did say, oh, does anyone have any binding? But it was an incredibly cheeky request a couple of years ago. That is really key to what we're asking for now. And that's one of the reasons we're taking a slightly different approach, whereby we will be pushing down to what probably will be, compared to previous trials, a smaller number of suppliers. But that's because we want to go through a bit of a development process with you. If you were involved in previous trials, then, and if you weren't, that doesn't mean you can't be involved in these by any means. If you were involved in the previous trials, you'll know we didn't pay you. So that is a difference versus this. Because we are really looking to see something be developed, and hopefully it gives you a bit of incentive, the ability to have an internal conversation around whether or not you actually put some development time and development effort into something that maybe is on the back burner at the moment. So we're looking to make that switch internally. Does that mean the amount we pay you will cover everything? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. That's probably the question some of the other attendees were asking earlier about exactly how much money it will be. And I promise when it comes out, we'll be able to give you an indication of that amount, but not today, I'm sorry.
So John had his hand up, but he's dropped it down. John, did you want to come in? But then it's Matthew.
No, it's fine. It was only just to sort of confirm what Stuart had said, that the previous feasibility trials did not include any binding. And as Stuart said, we did ask a cheeky question, but we never sort of followed up on it. And we've, as far as to my knowledge, we've not to date seen any sort of tested sort of solution. Although we have heard in rumours that some suppliers that had taken part in the trials may have had something that they could have developed.
Just before I pass on to Matthew, you'll be next. We've got one that said, how's the person's face bound to the passport originally? Yeah, it assumes they enrolled their passport correctly. That's what a passport fundamentally is. It is a document issued by a foreign government that we trust. So that's the answer. Can people travel on fraudulent passports? They can, and it's illegal. So, and the Home Office has all of the things you would expect in try and detect when that happens. So fundamentally, that is the difference with face. It's a clever question, but what you've assumed is absolutely correct. We trust a passport because it's an official document produced by a trusted foreign nation.
And the checks that are done for the
Yeah.
passport.
Yeah, and they're checked. We've got databases and the likes.
Identities are verified for the individuals for the face.
Yeah. Matthew, we'll take the last couple of questions and then I think we'll have to wind up.
Lovely. No, thank you. Really helpful. My question was that has there a decision been made that all ETA applicants would need to attempt fingers subject to this all being successful?
I'm not aware of any decision being made.
A couple of years ago, correct if I'm wrong, John, a couple of years ago, something was published saying it was our ambition to collect everyone's biometrics.
Yep. So that's the ambition. But one of the reasons why we want this work done is to enable us to formulate what that policy might be. So let's, just hypothetically, you come up with a solution that works for everyone, but for people aged, say, under 10 years old. So we might then want to go away and think, do we need a policy to deal with that? Or it works with everyone, but certain sort of disabled people. We might want to sort of go away and sort of think about what that might mean. So it's not a case that it's a binary sort of approach. Stuart's quite right. The aspiration is, everyone, but there would be, for example, one group of people who definitely won't be able to sort of do it are amputees if they don't have any fingers in the first place. So there's already sort of someone who would be sort of accepted from the the process. Although you might still think about what evidence is there to go and show that they are amputees. So we just need to go and work that one through. But what we do want is to try on a basis as everyone as possible, and then if when we look at the sort of results, we will say, well, actually, no matter what we did, this sort of type cohort person couldn't do it. Then we would go away as a matter of policy to make an assessment to say, well, is it still worth doing? If it is, how do we manage the exceptions?
Makes sense. Yep. No, thank you very much. And I can see how when searching on the databases and everything, that would give the best kind of possibility of stopping, crime or picking someone up.
We don't want to push everyone through the VACs. The VACs are there for, they're expensive for us and for the applicants. You have to book an appointment. You have to speak to someone. That process is still there for people applying for those visa products. That's what the V in VAC stands for. But the idea of the ETA is it's really low friction. You can do it by yourself on your phone. So we want to meet that ambition to capture all the biometrics without changing what is quite a user-friendly experience. Andy, I think this might be the last comment we take, given we're at 4 o'clock. But
very quick and administrative. In Sparks, you mentioned that you need to see tracks. As far as I'm aware, nobody is currently allowing self-enrollment of fingerprint anywhere. So how do you provide an example contract to that?
Are you still on, Tom?
I am indeed.
Yep.
Yeah, so as long as your contract example is providing an element of something that you are adding on, so it doesn't need to be the specific technology, it needs to be in the same ballpark. So if you have a contract that you've provided around a biometric technology, doesn't have to be fingerprint, or an example of a technology that is close to that, then that's what we can accept. So ultimately, once you've applied, you can go in and amend your filters to add in filters that are additional to that. So as long as you can provide a contract example that covers filters that you apply this time, then we can look at the additional filters afterwards. Does that make sense? Or have I completely confused the situation?
Well, I mean, it just sounds like it's the same contract references you use for face capture that you've already decided.
It's the purpose of that threshold is that you actually exist as a company and you actually can do this technology. You actually are involved in that. So if you invented a company tomorrow, you wouldn't be able to join Spark. But as the organization you're representing today, you will have examples of the fact that you know what you're doing within this sphere of industry, and that should be sufficient.
It's going to be quite a broad evaluation,
but in fancier words. I'm sorry, Tom.
It's a broad evaluation, isn't it, basically?
It is, yeah. So it's essentially the contract example is there to make sure that you have relevant experience within a technology or service that you're providing. So it doesn't have to be specific to this, but it has to be around, the radical or disruptive technology or service that you're providing, essentially.
Thanks.
No.
I'm sure there are some. I'm sure people have some more thoughts, and you'll probably come up with some questions a little bit later. When you're on the toilet, if you're anything like me. So by all means, we have an email address, which is the one you emailed for this, which is boardofvision@homeoffice.gov.uk. And you can contact Tom using that cyberdps at the Crown Commercial. John is having a lovely conversation in the sidebar with people about why we trust some passports and not others. I think we'll leave that one there.
Ian's asked a question in relation to share the list of attendees and the companies.
So no, we won't look to share it, but you can see it now. You can see who else is on now, as you were warned at the bottom of the notice. If there's anything further from anyone, please drop us an email. You can contact the Crown Commercial Service as well if you're having any issues with Spark, and we will be in touch. We'll follow up to everyone who's attended this, share some of the information, a bit of a write-up for some of the Q&A and discussion we had, and the slides for you. But that is everything from us for now. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, and look out for the next event when we'll come and talk to you about in more detail.
Yes, have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.